Visitors to this region call it wine country. MotoAmerica race fans call it Cameron country. Since the return of Sonoma Raceway to the calendar, no one has been more dominant at any track like Beaubier has here. And today, he looks to keep it going. But the likes of Josh Herron, Tony Elias, Matthew Skoltz, and the rest of the field are trying to put an end to Cam's run. But how will it all turn out? It's time to find out as Motul Superbikes take to the ups and downs of Northern California. Right now, only on BN Sports. Welcome, everyone, to the MotoAmerica AMA FIM North American Road Race Championship, the Cycle Gear Championship of Sonoma from Sonoma Raceway. It's round 7 of 10 for 2018. From Sonoma, California, I'm Greg White. Sitting alongside me, Jason Pridmore, two-time AMA National Champion. And Jason, here we are. Our day is wrapping up with the Motul Superbike class. All eyes have been on Cameron Beaubier. The question really this morning in warm-up, was Cameron Beaubier going to be the fastest again in that session? And so far, since we have returned to Sonoma Raceway, this is season number 2, Cam has led everything.
Yeah, and I don't really know. I mean, Greg, you hate to just give it to somebody, but do you see it changing? I mean, if you had to put your money on anybody or anything, or do you see it changing? I find it hard to. I think he's going to just pretty much dominate this again. It'll be interesting to see if Tony or Josh or Matthew or any of those guys made any big significant changes. I couldn't see that in the lap times this morning, that there were any big significant changes from any of those 3 or 4 guys. I think if Cameron can just get off to the start he needs to, and barring anything going wrong with the bike or something like that, I think it's going to be tough on the field again.
Well, I think really the question yesterday is, can anyone beat Cameron Beaubier, and how do you beat Cameron Beaubier? So we put this together to try to answer that question.
The last 2 months since we received the new tire, our story changed a lot. And yesterday, one more time, we went into a race with the new setup, which didn't work. Plus, I chose the extra soft tire, so it was a bad option. Anyway, I tried to do my best, and finish third. At the end of the race, the last 3 laps, I completely dead my tire.
Biggest thing for me yesterday was riding tight. I got behind Cam and got kind of excited and pushed a little bit harder than I was used to, and got arm pump coming back. So, and we made a lot of changes to the bike. You know, changed the trail of the bike, and messed with a couple other things with electronics. Try and help out a little bit just to get a quicker pace and feel more comfortable. So hopefully we can give him a run for his money today and be a little bit closer.
I think we are not yet in a Cameron's level. If yesterday we were 1 second far, today we are 3/10, 4/10 faster. So we are not there, but we start to create pressure. So let's see.
Yeah, we'll have to see what these two have in store for Cameron.
You got to love the laugh, right?
Yeah.
I love Tony because he kind of laughs because he knows. I mean, he's been in that position before himself where he's been better than the rest. And he knows how hard it is to close that gap right now, especially here.
Cameron Beaubier wants to eat. Sonoma Raceway. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to have more as Motul Superbike is right around the corner. Riders are on the grid. That means it's time for us to get down to Hannah.
I've got Matt Skoltz here. Matt, really tough start yesterday. Obviously not how you wanted things to go. And Cam was absolutely on rails yesterday. What are you looking to accomplish? What are your expectations for this race?
Well, firstly, finishing the first lap, that would be a great start. But, we kind of showed in practice we had a decent pace. I think Cameron Beaubier has shown that he's the man to beat here. But, we'll just see how the first lap goes and take it from there. But I'm pretty confident we can put it back up on the box.
All right, best of luck to you. Thanks, Matt.
Gotta love his humor. And the thing that I always looked at is that if you made a mistake in the first race of the weekend, you just lose all those race laps. So it's hard to make any changes from what overnight.
Yeah.
So you just lose all those laps. That's the disadvantage that Matthew will be at today. So whatever they did this morning and just getting him back up to pace and things like that, qualified second. He also broke the lap record on the weekend. So obviously he's got that pace for the one lap type thing, but got to love his humor to get through that first lap.
And Cameron Beaubier in the race yesterday, Jason, was able to do a 135.0. Now, he qualified at a 134.0, but of course we use those really sticky Q tires that Dunlop has. But a 35.0 bested his best race pace at a 135.8 last year. Let's get back down to Hannah, who has Jake.
All right, Jake, you mentioned yesterday wasn't a bad day, but it wasn't your best day. Have you made any changes going into today's race that you think will help you improve on your results from yesterday?
Yeah, for sure. Been a little bit off all weekend, but we made some important steps this morning. Struggled a little bit in the race yesterday with battling with a couple guys that like to race hard the first couple laps. But once I got going, Garrett, Tony, and Josh were right up the road, and we had the same pace for the majority of the race, and then kind of dropped back. But today we're going to run obviously the different tire, and made some suspension changes, some power delivery changes that I think will make the bike a little easier to ride over race distance, and try to get off to a good start here and run with the boys and try to battle for the podium. It'd be really good to get back up on there this weekend.
All right, thanks, Jake. Good luck out there.
For Jake Lewis, fifth place yesterday, and he was 29 seconds behind the leaders at a 137.2 his fastest lap. So that's definitely something that M4 X-Star Suzuki team is looking to just reduce the overall gap to that race leader. And of course, Cameron Beaubier, I think, Jason, he won by 7.2 seconds, but
yeah,
the feeling in the paddock last night was that Cam, if he wanted to win by 30 seconds, he could have.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a matter of how hard do you continue to push, how much do you want to win by. That's kind of the way it's been, and we haven't been in this position as a broadcasting team to even talk about somebody with runaway victories like this in a long time. So not going to hand it to him. Hey, this is where we're going to run all these laps today, and if somebody can get up there up front with him early and just try to race with Cameron a little bit, it can change the outcome of things for sure.
And we talked about it yesterday. We're talking about roughing up Cameron Beaubier, and what we were really talking about in roughing him up is you got to disrupt the flow that Cameron Beaubier has, because obviously everything's working right. Confidence is high. He's on a win streak. All those factors play into it. So you've got to try to disrupt his rhythm at this point, which means you got to get out in front of him and try to control what he's doing, control his lines.
And Herron did that yesterday early. He got out front kind of early, and we heard Josh talk about it. You could see it really in the telecast if you go back and watch it. Josh's bike works great on new tires, as does everybody else's, but it's that longevity and being able to sustain pace and that kind of thing where Cameron's bike just seems really good. Even sort of 15, 16, 18 laps into the race, his bike still looks like it's on rails.
Let's go back down to Hannah real quick.
Okay, so I found Cam Peterson hobbling around. Obviously, not ideal for you, but we're really happy to have you out there. And of course, I'm sure the guys are happy to have your support. Tell us a little bit about, your account of events and what happened during the race yesterday.
Yeah, it was kind of a freak accident, to be honest. I felt good all weekend, and going to the race, I had a good pace, and then just had a little moment right before Wheelie Hill, and just enough to kick my feet off the pegs, and somehow my foot got stuck in the rear wheel on the chain or something like that, and unfortunately just severed a couple tendons, so there's some toes that aren't working, but we'll have surgery this week and try be fit for Pittsburgh, if not Pittsburgh, definitely Jersey. So yeah, good luck to all the boys out there. It should be some good racing.
Well, thanks, Cam. Glad to see you in good spirits, and we wish you a quick recovery.
A couple severed tendons. That's after the big toe. The other two toes right there just aren't working. I think maybe Pittsburgh's a little aggressive, but we hope to see him back real soon. Here's a look at the starting grid, Jay. Cameron Beaubier, Matthew Schultz, Josh Herron, your front row.
Yeah, then Tony Elias, Garrett Gerloff. Garrett was kind of closing in on that battle yesterday for second and third. We'll see what he can do. Danny Eslick with a good run yesterday. We saw him riding around with Raj. So Danny's coming from outside row 2, row 3. Jake Lewis, Roger Hayden, David Anthony there on the outside of row 3. Some of these guys moving up a spot since Cam's not starting with us today. Kyle Wyman, Jeff May, Jason Uribe on the outside of row 4. Teammates Cameron Peterson, San Federico, Alex Phillips, who I don't think's taking place.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Is out there. Max Flinders and Bruno Silva round out our field.
So I think Alex Phillips wasn't able to start this one, so we're going to have 15 competitors in this Motul Superbike race. As we take a look at the man of the hour at this point, Cameron Beaubier. In the last 7 races, he's won 6 times, and he has a 58-point lead in this championship. Now, we've had 13 rounds. 6 wins have gone to Cameron Beaubier, 6 to Tony Elias, and 1 to Matthew Schultz this season. So if Cam Beaubier is able to notch a win in this one, or Tony Elias is able to get one, they'll move ahead in terms of the most amount of wins so far this season as they sit all tied up.
You know, this morning, Greg, when we were watching warm-up, when I was watching warm-up, it looked like Matthew still had some issues, even on the last 2 laps of his session. This morning I saw him, and I didn't get a chance to go down and talk to Chuck, but you know, hopefully whatever issues that he had in that session this morning got cleared up, and he's more comfortable just watching him go up through turn 2 here. I'd love to see Matthew get a solid amount of laps in here for this race. And you know, 22 laps around this place is a lot of things that can go on. And I think you know, I talked about it briefly yesterday, the mental side of things. You know, Cameron's obviously heard everybody talking about how dominant he is here. It's not something that he's not had to deal with before, but sometimes that can play with you even in the dome a little bit with expectations, you know.
Yeah,
so I think that he's just gonna get focused, get that good start like he always seems to be able to do lately, and then just try to run his race. You can see there we got a 58-point difference now between him and Tony in the championship. Herron back about 100 points there as well, and then Matthew in 4th. So you know, Cameron's just kind of on one of those roles we've seen him on in the past.
And if you missed the news in terms of the Genuine Broaster Chicken Honda team, they have announced yesterday that Bobby Fong will be riding for them the next race. So the number 50 rider, who had a parting of ways in Utah with his team at the time, is going to be back in action for all of you Bobby Fong fans. I know you're going to enjoy seeing Bobby back in race action, and this time on a Honda.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how Bobby does. We saw him here this weekend. He's excited about that opportunity to maybe go do the final rounds with the Broaster Honda team. And I think that they this weekend especially, that bike really shown itself to be pretty well. And I think Pittsburgh's a little bit like Sonoma. So hopefully we'll see. I don't know if he's going to get a chance to ride or not. Tony's jumping off his bike on the grid. He's back on. So I'm not exactly sure what that's about. I don't know if he couldn't get he didn't even speculate.
Yeah, they've had some transmission clunky issues occasionally, but all right, so Tony's back on the bike. Here we go. Motul Superbike race number 2 getting underway from Sonoma Raceway. And a good start from Cam Beaubier, and Josh Herron going to try to sweep around the outside. He's not scared.
Did he make it?
Oh, they're so close.
Cameron just battled him. Cameron just battled him up into turn 2, and Herron wasn't able to get past him, but boy, he sure did try. I think Herron knows that he just needed to try to get that jump. Tony Elias again with a fantastic start from that second row. Matthew Schultz falls into the 4th place there with Garrett Gerloff just behind him. So right now, Cameron just got the dream start. Now he just needs to put his head down and just start running those laps.
Tony Elias, our reigning national champion, on at number 1. He's been coming under fire from Schultz. I think maybe just a little bit timid on this first lap for Schultz. Wants to make it at least to the start-finish line.
Get through that first lap, and right now he's right on the back of Tony. And I think really the benefit that Josh Herron had yesterday at the beginning of the race, you can see Tony's got it backed in. Is he going to get a turn? He does get. Matthew goes underneath him in turn 7 as Tony got it backed in there, not able to fight back. So Matthew Schultz jumps up a spot, up into 3rd spot. But Herron really benefited by putting his head down and getting off to the front with Cameron, and he was able to then hold Tony off for the remainder of the race. Tony's in deep right now. Wasn't close enough to do something with Matthew, but Matthew's got through this first lap really, really well. Good start from Matthew Schultz and up to 3rd as they head down into turn 11. He's already starting to make up that little bit of gap that Herron had, but look at the gap already at the front for Cameron Beaubier, Greg. He's already going to have almost a second. Let's see what it is. It's 1.1 seconds.
Wow.
That's incredible. I mean, and he goes 35.1 from a standing start. Keep in mind we didn't use our chicane that first lap, but that's still an incredibly fast first lap around.
Cameron Beaubier, Monster Energy Yamalube Yamaha Factory Racing, setting sail in this one. The favorite, but there's a long way to go in this race. 22 laps scheduled. As we look at Tony Elias, your reigning champion, doesn't look like whatever changes they made to that motorcycle to make it better are working for him at the moment. But we have seen occasions when the bike doesn't work great at the beginning and then starts to come to him.
Yep, and right now, Matthew is all over the back of Josh Herron as they headed down towards, out of the carousel. They're going down towards turn 7 now. You're going to see those guys behind.
That was a look at Roger Hayden back there in 7th spot. He and Danny Eslick went after it in 6th spot yesterday. And it was interesting to talk to them after the race. Was Danny Eslick was pumped, and Roger Hayden was like, "Yeah, but it was for 6."
It was for 6.
And Danny Eslick was like, "Yeah, it was for 6."
He was happy about it, right?
Two different perspectives
Look
there.
at the lead. It's incredible. And right now, so we're getting a bit of a line now behind Herron as Garrett Gerloff has now jumped. Garrett just got out of shape a little bit out of a 9A. Gave him an announcer's curse there because he had drawn up on the back of Tony a little bit. And here you go, Matthew Schultz goes underneath Herron as they go into turn 11. Herron's going to try to turn it back up underneath him, but not going to be able to do it there. This is a really hard pass to do as they head down into turn 1. He's going to squeeze Schultz up against the wall, and that's going to be able to good pass from Josh Herron there as they went into turn 1. It's a big commitment to do that.
It's so much confidence in the front end of his Yamaha on that Attack Performance Herron compound machine. A bike that Richard Stamboli, his team owner, told me that just get this bike back together was critical. Think about it, Jason. This is a privateer team, this Attack Performance Herron compound team, and Herron really, after his big get-off at Utah, that was his 3rd crash in a row. He finished Laguna off with a crash, remember?
That's
then
right.
He crashed again day 1 at Utah, and then there was the big one that ripped the bike apart. Richard told me it wasn't that they didn't have parts in the trailer to put the bike back together. They just didn't have time.
Yeah, that was a big one, the last one. And we don't see Josh crash that often. I mean, really. So that's really, they say it comes in threes.
He hadn't crashed, by the way, in a year and a half.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah. And you see the stuff he can do on a bike. And it's amazing the skills this guy has. So for him to fall over 3 times is very, very unusual. And now you got a pretty solid locked-in battle here for 2nd place. They've been able to gap Garrett Gerloff a bit with Jake Lewis just behind Garrett as we stand. And it looks like Herron and Danny Eslick back there in the background. You can see Garrett here. He made a mistake in this little section last time that created that gap, Greg. I saw it out our window. And this time he's able to get off there more comfortable.
Yeah, the Superbike class rookie, last year's reigning Supersport champion, too. He tends to have a little bit of a kick himself in the pants when he makes a mistake. So we'll see if Gerloff can really reel it back in and start clicking off a couple tenths, a tenth here, a tenth there, and get himself latched onto the back.
It actually looked like Matthew made a downshift on the exit of turn 11, almost like he didn't quite get it into the gear he needed it to be in. That's why you've seen this little gap created, and sometimes that happens when you're in the heat of it. You might miss a gear or whatever, but he just did a little downshift in the middle of the turn to get off it. And now a little gap, but Tony's just going to kind of sit there. He's right on the back of these guys. You heard him say yesterday he didn't want to let the point, a 2nd place still pays 20 points.
His bike just looks, Tony's bike looks a little nervous under acceleration in certain corners.
Yeah,
it's just got a little bit of the yips, it's just kind of moving around a little bit under. There's a look at Garrett Gerloff, the Superbike class rookie, on that Monster Energy Yamaha factory racing machine. Just behind him is Jake Lewis on that M4X Star Suzuki.
By the way, he's 4.3 seconds in front, and he just went as fast as first split of the race did Cameron Bogey up in front. So I don't want everybody to think we've completely forgot about Cam, but he's doing kind of what we had expected. Look at how Josh used a lot of track all through there that time, a lot more than I'm used to seeing him use, and it allowed Matthew to really close up on the back of him. Matthew's going to have a go as they go down into turn 9. He's going to try to get up underneath him, and he does. In a spot where he tipped over yesterday, he's able to work up underneath Josh Herron. Now, Josh is so good about firing right back, so we'll see what happens here and see if he's able to do that. Oh, and Tony Elias is going to have a go.
Going straight to the apex.
Yep, and he does it. And you see how he gets the bike stopped at the apex? He just gets the thing parked.
He's got a lot of confidence in Josh Herron, too, not to plow into him because Herron had a little bit more speed going in there. But now Tony Elias gets it done, gets a spot back, and just like that, Josh Herron is moved back to 4th. And Matthew Schultz, Westby Racing Yamaha right now after a disastrous day yesterday. That's what I like about Matthew, and after the conversations about him possibly filling the open slot at Yoshimura Suzuki, Matthew Schultz putting the disaster of yesterday behind him, and he's as aggressive as we always see him.
I think for me, we're just watching Matthew in practice this weekend. Like right now, he just looks so in control. Just watching the first sort of 5 or 6 laps of this race. I think that when you get the taste of winning and you get a taste of being up front, you get some of those expectations put on you. It causes you to sometimes try a little bit harder. And I kind of got that feeling just watching him on the fence this weekend that he was just, I'm not going to say overriding the bike, but just riding extremely hard. And right now he just looks so in control, so smooth. And that's kind of what I've grown used to seeing him do. Tony's just right up behind him right now, as is Herron. And we saw this from Garrett yesterday where that gap, he just couldn't quite close that gap to those guys. It was about this distance too, and Garrett couldn't quite close. Here you go, Josh Herron.
Yeah, that's the thing about Tony.
Yep.
I mean, he can be that right dive straight to the apex. So if you think you have a notion of going in there, you better beware, because Tony's going to grab that real estate first.
Yep, and look at, he's having to go right now at Matthew, just trying to have a look down the inside. Matthew's pretty tight as it is anyways, but if you're going to go down the inside of Tony, you got to make that commitment really, really early. And, you know, we are really close to having a 6-way battle for second here as Gerloff, Jake Lewis, and yes, Raj Hayden is clawed onto the back of that group. You're going to see 3 riders coming up the hill.
Sure has.
Yesterday, Raj was a little bit further behind. Raj just went his fastest lap of the race at a 36.7. So Raj is also trying to respond and realizing, hey, there's a podium just right up here in front of me. If I can, got a lot of laps left to do it too.
95, Roger Hayden, Yoshimura Suzuki factory rider. Not his favorite racetrack, no question about it. Heading to retirement. After this, we can't stress it enough, because 20 years at the racetrack. Roger said to me, Jason, what's a summer?
What is a summer? He said, when is it? When is summer?
Yeah, when's summer? When's vacation start? When's a trip to the beach? You know, it's always about racing and staying race fit. So he's looking forward to spending a little bit of time like a normal person, I suppose.
Wants to hang out with his wife a little bit more and go on some trips. He said, the guy at the front still running 35s consistently.
35.9.
Yep, 35.1 was his quickest. He went 35.9 the last lap, did Cameron. All of this group that you see here, all of them back to Raj, are all in the mid to high 36s. So,
and at least for Roger Hayden, he didn't want to get locked in another battle with Danny Eslick, who's another 2.5 seconds behind Roger in this one. And then there's Kyle Wyman, Jason Uribe, Jeff May in 11th spot, Sam Bertarico, Max Flinders, and Bruno Silva. And it looks like
look at Tony. Tony just goes up underneath Matthew Schultz into turn 11. Pretty classic stuff from Tony. He goes right to the apex of that corner. Didn't he got by in plenty of time as well. So,
and this is what I was talking about. You know, his bike sometimes, the way they have it set up, just keeps getting a little better, especially when the fuel load starts to drop. And even sometimes, Jason, they try to get the bike to work when the tire starts to move around a little bit more.
Yes. No, sometimes these guys want the bike to move to get the bike to finish its corners and that kind of stuff. So you're exactly right, Greg. And you know, Tony's just going to try to, you see, comes out of turn 10. Look how early he commits. He just commits so early to getting down the inside of Matthew, and now Matthew sees and has a notion that he's there. But Tony, this is where he's really good. He gets the bike stopped at the apex to prevent people from turning back up underneath him.
Got such feel with the front end.
Yeah,
we talked about the clutch issue and the electronics yesterday. Did you notice that Tony going in there had that finger on that clutch?
He still had it.
Yeah, he didn't use it, but he had it there. And that's what he told me. So Tony Elias in second spot, Matthew Schultz in third, and then Josh Herron still hanging on there. For a moment, it looked like Garrett Gerloff was going to drag Jake Lewis and Roger Hayden right up to him. They're getting closer, but the gap has stabilized just a bit at the moment.
It's exactly the same thing as yesterday. Garrett just can't quite get there. It's right in front of him, but he just can't quite get there.
Still trying to find his way on that factory Superbike in his rookie season. Jake Lewis also on the lips of people of Suzuki with that Yoshimura factory ride that's coming up.
And he should be. I mean, you know, really, he should be. He's still very young. He was at Yosh, and then Tony came in, and you know, there isn't really any one of, like, I'd say 4 or 5 guys in our paddock that could take that, and it depends if Yosh decides to look outside our paddock. Hopefully they keep somebody within our paddock that can get on that Yoshimura Superbike.
All the conversations I've had with Suzuki is they want to promote within, with the Motul Superbike class here in MotoAmerica, and you know, try to get someone either in the class or in Supersport.
Yep, that's exactly right. And it's good that they're wanting to do that. So look,
I mean, that ride's been linked, by the way. You know, Bradley Smith, a bunch of different people. So
a lot of different people probably wanting it. No, it's no worries. And I think that, you know, even with some of the connections I have overseas, MotoAmerica paddock is getting spoke about a lot more now than it had been 3, 4, 5 years ago. So it just kind of shows that what Wayne and everybody at MotoAmerica has done is definitely started to wake up the rest of the world a little bit back to our series, which is great. Just seems like Garrett loses a lot in that first sector there. Just looking at our splits, he doesn't. But that gap just always seems so big right here, and those guys just pull away. And you can see Tony right now even getting away just a little bit from the 2 Yamahas, and Herron looks like he's kind of itching to get by Matthew. Let's see if he does anything as they come down the hill. Boy, his bike worked good off of there. and he's going to pull up alongside Matthew as they head into turn 9. Good pass from Josh Herron. You can kind of see him ramping that up a little bit as they went down through the S's. Herron's bike worked extremely well from that left to the right.
You can tell Skoltz had
Look at Matthew. He's going to fire right back, though. He's going to go right back underneath, and Herron's going to turn it back up. That's
too deep.
Yeah, but he's just taking a shot, firing, and having a go. But Herron kind of almost knew that was coming. Now we'll see if Josh can draw back up on the back end of Tony. The lead at the front right now, 8.4 seconds. Cameron's still in the 35s, a 35.9 that last lap through.
You know, maybe after his post-race press conference with Hannah yesterday, or interview, you know, that he probably sat down with the team and basically, you know, his crew chief said, hey, you need to stay aggressive.
Yeah,
as
maybe.
We had a look at the replay of the dive bomb.
Yep, he just kind of tried to do what Tony does, but he's just not able to get the bike slowed at the apex same way. So Josh was able to just kind of turn it back up underneath him. No harm, no foul. There's Garrett, and Jake, and Raj all coming from behind there.
So Cameron Beaubier, 8.4 seconds ahead of Tony Elias. He's got about half a second on Josh Herron right now. There's a look at our race leader.
And just watch how simple all this looks. It's the best way to put it. There's not a lot of movement in the body. The bike moves around underneath him, but he's got it all under control. Here's he coming in turn 9. This is where we saw him make a little mistake yesterday. And he even said something to Hannah about it. This is all through turn 10. Now you'll see the bike kind of back in just a little bit. It's all very consistent. Bike backs in just a little bit, but he gets it down to the apex, gets it stopped, and fires it out of here. But there's no extra anything that Cameron does. He wins looking just like pure class. Into turn 1, as smooth as you like. I watched him this section the other day, and he holds the thing wide open until he goes up under the bridge. Tony opening up just a little bit of gap now over Herron and Skoltz, and Garrett is closed up a little bit closer on the back of Matthew Skoltz now as we start our, we're a little bit past halfway here now.
Josh Herron with 6 podium finishes so far this season. Only one of those has been a 3rd place. He's got 5 second-place finishes, does Herron.
It looks like these guys dropped Raj a little bit. I'm not sure what happened. Maybe Raj made a mistake or something, but just dropped Raj a little bit that last lap. He went 37.9 to everybody else's 37 flats. So maybe he just made a mistake somewhere out there and lost that second. So we'll see if Raj has a little fight in him to come back up on these guys.
As we approach the halfway part of this race, this is the part where Jake Lewis said he and his M4 X-Star Suzuki team started to plan for. So we'll see if Lewis is able to maybe make some moves because they wanted to get a bike that goes all the way to the end.
Yeah, now you can see those guys are right on the back of this Garrett Gerloff and Lewis have drawn up on the back of Skoltz.
Beaubier now extends his lead to 9 seconds. So Tony Elias, a 136.8, 37.1s. I mean, these lap times, Jason, are quick. They're not setting the world on fire, but if we take Cameron out of the equation, who did a 36.2, the pace isn't quite as hot as it was with these 2 front runners.
That's correct. No, you're exactly right. I mean, you can see Josh has had a good lap here because Tony had a bit of a gap on him the last time by, and this time Herron's clawed it back. 36.6 that time for Josh Herron. It's the first time we've seen anybody run the same kind of pace as Cameron Beaubier. They both did 36.6s. So Cameron now with an almost 10-second lead, probably watching his board. Kyle Wyman has got by Danny Essick. I was watching that battle a little bit on the screen earlier on the lap boards on timing and scoring. And you know, these guys here just doing kind of like high 38s for Kyle and for Danny as well. This is all up and through. And you know, we talked to Kyle Wyman a little bit yesterday. I talked to him and he said, Jay, ever since that new tire, I've just been struggling. And I talked to Gary Dean, his crew chief, this morning. Said they found a little bit of something this morning. They felt like it was a little bit better. But, you know, I know Kyle and Danny both, but we've seen Kyle run up at the front of these races, and we know he's better than where he's at right this second. So it's just a matter of getting adjusted. And, you know, the guy runs his own team and does such a good job with that.
Yeah.
He has his hands full on a weekend.
It looks like Herron now is starting to get back into it. It might be a little case of what we saw yesterday that Josh told us about. He got a little snug at the beginning of the race, a little bit of arm pump, and then he said about 10 laps to go, he started to loosen up and his pace was increasing. So maybe the same thing, just more comfortable on the bike as the fuel load drops, the tires start moving around. But Herrin on the attack right now, trying to chase down Tony Elias. And now we have this battle back for fourth.
Yep, these guys are all going for it now. I mean, they've got on the back of Matthews, so Matthews' bike has obviously gone off a little bit in the last 5 or 6 laps since he was passed by Tony and Josh. So it's kind of, he's drawn back. So they're still doing low 37s. The 2 guys in front are in the high 36s though. So Cameron's completely put it back on cruise now. He's no longer in the high 35s. He's in the high 36s. So he's just going to manage that lead. Maybe he had a bet with Zeki or something about managing his lead in 10 seconds or something.
Who knows?
Yeah.
But really, I think it comes down to his focus. When I heard yesterday that when they pulled the bike in back under the canopy at Yamaha, Cameron Beaubier, they took off the belly pan and a bunch of dirt fell out of it. So indeed, he did run off. I thought in the interview with us, he was like, I ran off, well, kind of, almost ran off. But then on the podium, he actually told Brian Brever that he did run off the racetrack a couple of times. Skolsky looks over his shoulders.
Is Garrett going to go underneath him? Yep.
Like it. Yeah, something's wrong. I mean, something's not right, I should say, with Skolsky right now, even though he goes side by side with Gerlach.
Here we go.
They're going
to
to
the
position, and he gets it right back.
Yep. So he's still fighting, which is good, but you can see he kind of looked back and knew somebody was there. And, but now Josh is drawn right up on the back of Tony. These guys now are, what are they, Greg? They're almost they're probably at least 2 seconds behind now. So the battle for the podium is really second and third between Herrin and Elias. And the battle for fourth is going to be on.
Gap increased 10.3 now. Beaubier over Tony Elias. Josh Herrin right behind him. And then you have the Schultz, Gerloff, Lewis battle. And then Hayden has kind of slipped off all by himself. He was just coming through turn 11 on the back of your screen. Then there was that Wyman and Estes battle. Jason Uribe in 10th spot. So,
Herrin just got up in there just a little bit tight. I don't think he was that close to Tony. It kind of looked like he was, but I don't think he was that close. I think he maybe just lost the front a little bit as he was tipping in.
Herrin will take note of that, definitely. If it was something related to his traction, Tony takes a look over his shoulder. And now Herrin's going to sweep around the outside. Nope, thought that was going to be it for a second.
Tony's going to run wide a little bit here, it looks like. I think Tony was trying to take a peek to see how many guys he's got to try to work with, because he knew that there was a big group probably behind him. Because when Herrin was in front, he was probably getting the plus sign back, and now he knows that Herrin, there's definitely somebody right behind him, but he was looking back to see how many people were back there.
About 9.5 laps to go in this one, so just past the halfway mark. Tony Elias had to work his way into this second place position. Looked like he was going to keep away from the rest of the field and have a lonely race on his own, but Josh Herrin is keeping him honest in this one.
Yeah, Josh is pretty good through that left right at the top of the hill. His bike looks better there today than it did to me yesterday, actually. So it'll be interesting to see post-race what he says about the bike, because it looks like he's got a little bit better grip coming up over the top of that rise than he did yesterday.
Tony again getting that bike turning, getting it on the meat of the tire, even though there's a big bump. When he goes real tight on the inside, you can see the suspension really banging around, but it's working for him. Josh Herrin on that Attack Performance Herrin compound machine. When I talked to Richard Stamboli earlier today, Jason, we talked about that frame, as you remember, at Utah.
Yep.
The front end got ripped off of that frame, so I said, what frame are you using? He actually said that was the World Superbike frame.
Oh, wow.
That he used when he crashed.
Yep.
And so they basically just put a new frame in for the Utah rounds.
Yeah.
And so they were able to take that one out. But in terms of some of the other bits and pieces of the bike, like the swing arm, for example, obviously all the body work. Richard Stamboli said the only thing that they were able to take from that bike in Utah was they had to redo the forks because they were bent. John Cornwell did that with the Orleans. Foot pegs, which of course we know Attack makes foot pegs, so we didn't really need that. And the actual tank, they were able to repair the custom-made tank on that bike. Everything else,
that's a big
wheels, everything they had to replace.
Yeah, that was a big crash. I mean, that's a big first snap sideways we've seen from Herrin. So the bike just snapped itself coming out of turn 7. But this is where he's actually pretty good. Looks like when he gets the bike rolling through, The weight transfer on that bike to the rear wheel under acceleration looks nice and smooth, but maybe out of some of the slower stuff, like we're getting ready to do here in a minute coming in turn 11, we'll see how it reacts out of there. These guys are kind of locked into that battle for fourth. Let's see how Josh's bike looks out of turn 11 right now. And pretty solid out of there.
Yeah, you got to turn
Here's
nice.
another look at it. She's just a little bit wider, and that's what we did that piece early in our telecast today where I was showing what Cameron Beaubier and Josh Herron, we were just talking about the both of them, and you can see how much tighter Cameron can come out of that corner and get it up off the edge of the tire, and Josh is trying to get the power to the ground, but he's still on the edge of the tire, so it's very difficult sometimes to create corner speed through the throttle on the edge of the turns without manipulating your tire, without manipulating grip as well.
Maybe that was the indication to Herron that he's done all he can do. He'll just continue to fight, but the risk reward on this one is Tony Elias. You see Tony that time, you know, we saw him go a tighter line, and that's when the bike snapped around.
Yeah.
I know from having done laps around this track, Jay, that over that hill, the more inside you get, the kind of the sharper the angle over the hill, and it can create a little bit of movement. As we look at Cameron Beaubier, now with a 10.5-second lead, I think he's in management mode now. He's rolling down to 36.7 for the Californian.
Yep, and this is just a consistent thing for him on his, you can see what he's on there, extra soft front and rear on his Dunlop slicks. This is him coming into turn 11, and you just see that bike on his last little bit of braking. It just kind of backs in ever so slightly. In both this corner, you see it a little bit in turn 9 with him, and you see it in turn 7 as well.
I have to send a nod out to Rick Hobbs and the crew on Cameron Beaubier's team on that Monster Energy Yamaha factory team. This morning, when they came in, they started up, you know, Cameron's bike. They gave it a little bit of a rev, and they heard something in the engine. So, I mean, Keith Riccardi, other team, the team for Garrett Gerloff and Beaubier's team, they all went to work, and they did an engine swap right there at like 9 o'clock in the morning. And of course, the engine's great, and we're in the situation, but good for Rick Hobbs. He heard a little bit of a noise, and they were taking zero chances.
Well, that's what an experienced crew chief and a great team does. They all work together, and I'm sure anything that they're going to hear, they're going to go right away and try to fix it. And I remember you coming up here and telling me you're not going to believe what's going on. I think they're changing the motor, and they got him out there, and he went quickest in that session as well. So yeah, big hats off to that whole team.
Rick Hobbs, a lot of experience under that guy's belt.
Yep.
Years in this paddock, and he knows what he's doing, and he really enjoys working with Cameron Beaubier. All right, so there is Garrett Gerloff, the teammate to Cameron Beaubier, rookie. He's in 5th spot right now, and we saw Gerloff make a move, take a shot, and it didn't quite pay off for him at the moment, but he's slowly clawing his way back up to the tailpipe of the Westby Racing.
Oh, and Jake just went a little wide. Look, and see now Herron, this is close. Josh is going to try something in turn 9 right now. His bike's pretty good out of here, and you're going to see he's going to pull out, and let's see if he's pull up alongside. Tony's so strong on the brakes.
So strong.
Yep, but I could see Josh was ramping that up. Garrett Gerloff right now I think is trying to make a move as well. We'll look in the background in a minute, but you can see that Tony on the brakes, and he's going to go straight to the inside, so it's going to make it really hard for Josh to do anything with him here.
I like the way Josh got that one turned. There's Rick Stamboli, owner of Attack Performance, talking to me about having to create a new swing arm for this motorcycle because it was bent. He said there were some parts inside that swing arm. That's a design swing arm by Richard, and it's machined at his shop. And by the way, he's making another one, so there's a next generation that's going to be available.
Yeah,
a lot goes into that bit.
He's such a sharp guy, you know, and he has the capabilities of building things. We saw him build a CRT bike to go race MotoGP.
Which is on display if you come to our races under the Attack Performance trailer. You can see that MotoGP motorcycle that's sitting underneath there.
That's pretty cool.
It's neat, yeah.
Yeah, I got to ride that thing. It was a pretty fun bike to ride, actually. And you think that how it was created and what he did to do it. And he's capable of being able to just produce and make parts, which is fantastic.
A lot of what Attack Performance does, of course, is make hard parts, he calls them, so foot pegs and clamps, you know, for the steering clamps and those types of things, but also they do a lot of service of motorcycles. Richard told me, by the way, that, Jason, if you wanted to go to a shop, come up with $100,000, you can get exactly the same bike Josh Herron races.
Yep.
There's Sculpt with a big mistake, wide into turn 11, so he'll lose a position as Jake Lewis now.
Jake wasn't quite able to hold him on, I don't think, coming out the last turn, but Garrett had actually gone underneath him in turn 9, earlier in that lap. So I don't know if that was Matthew firing him back, but Matthew's back through on Jake Lewis. And now he's going after Garrett. And you can see the other two guys have kind of checked out a bit now.
One of the things that Garrett and his team look at, of course, and what kind of lap times can do at the beginning of the race and the end of the race, is Gerloff still learning to manage his energy towards the end of the race on this big Superbike. It's been a big concern of his, and we thought we saw a lot from him in Utah. And right now, I can tell you that Gerloff just cooked off a 1:37.1. His fastest lap of the race has been a 36.7. So you're talking about a difference of only basically 3.5 tenths of a second. So Gerloff, this deep into this race, you can see that he's really starting to get the flow of the Superbike and how to manage that energy and how you expend your energy across these 22 laps.
Yeah, this place too, when you talk about expending energy, this place will take it out of you. These guys are actually really, really lucky that it's not extremely hot. We've had times up here where it's been in the hundreds, and when you try to do 22 laps on a Superbike around Sonoma in that kind of heat, it's a lot for you.
Not only that, we used to race this, remember, like in April. And it was
right.
in that springtime, used to be allergies for some people.
Yep.
I remember seeing Superbike racers get off their motorcycles and wobble because their allergies were so bad their head was spinning.
Sneezing. And Now Jake Lewis is kind of lining up Matthew. And you can see Matthew's bike's just not as stable as it was at the beginning of the race, obviously with tires going off and stuff. But Jake's trying really hard to try to pinpoint a spot where he's going to be able to go by Matthew. You might see something out of here. They come out of turn 9A. Yamaha, oh, there you go. Josh Herron goes underneath Tony, tries to stop it, but he just can't quite get it stopped. You see a lot of people try to attempt the pass that Tony puts on all of them, but it's very hard to do because, and especially here, Greg, you don't want to be trail braking with any lean angle. So you can see how cautious these guys are about getting to the apex of the corner with any lean. And Josh Herron tried to do to Tony what Tony does to so many, but he's just got to get the bike stopped a little bit more, and it's much easier said than done. But look at Josh. Josh has a little bit of pace all up through this section, it looks like to me. Where's his next spot, you think?
I don't know. If he can get close enough, I think at least what he wants to do is get his tailpipe close to Tony's ear and just let him know he's still there.
Correct.
So I thought maybe this was a section if he could try it. I think probably down to this chicane at this point, Jay.
Yeah,
I mean,
turn 9, huh?
Yeah, because Tony's getting out of this carousel really well. Josh able to make up a bike length or two, but just don't know if he's got the drive to try to make the pass right here.
I think you're right. I think turn 9 is going to be the spot.
But then Flinders is coming up as well.
Yep.
Max understands, when these leaders come through, how to get out of the way. Oh, Tony really struggling to get the power down on that one.
Josh is too, like right there, I think when you watch those guys go through there, Josh starts cracking the throttle on early and makes him use a little bit more track. But this is where he's so good. Look how good Josh is. He's already got himself sorted. But that's another big commitment to pass. Anywhere to pass here at Sonoma is very difficult. So let's watch out of here.
Especially Tony, though, on the race.
Correct.
Josh lost a little bit of time on that one. So Flinders, they should catch him. I would say probably
catch him down the front straightaway. Max is going to get the blue flag. He's already moving out of the way. Good man. So he's getting out of the way of those two guys. They're going to be able to go through him uninvited.
Max Hicks looks over his shoulder, knows he's clear to get back on his race line. All right, so Herron had to go. Now he's got to regather himself. Nope, they're going to catch San Bernardino.
He's just getting
the Fly Racing machine. He's just kind of one line up through this section, and Jake Lewis.
There we go.
Good job, Sam.
Able to go up underneath him.
Yeah.
Matthew kind of created a little bit of an opening there.
A little World Endurance style.
Yeah. This is up over turn 3A down. So we got a couple battles where where's it going to happen? We know Garrett Gerloff's checked out from this little battle here, which is good for Garrett, but he's 5 seconds behind the Herron and Elias battle. And now Jake's trying to figure out a way to get past Matthew. You got Herron trying to figure out a way to get past Elias. So there could be some late passes here for position. And here you go again. These two guys, Josh is in there a little bit deep. Now him running out that wide should allow him to exit this turn a little tighter. See how he's a little bit tighter there?
Yeah.
And that helps us run down through here a little bit better. Look how fast he is from that left-right transition. He really closes up on the back, and now he's going to have a go.
There he goes, Josh Herron going up the inside.
Oh!
He can't do it. He can't get
the
a turn.
bike stopped.
And he's got to let Tony Elias by.
Yep.
When you make a mistake like that in that section, and that's going to do it, it's really difficult to judge how to get back onto the racetrack. So with 3 to go. Josh Herron, he could do it. Listen, we've seen
Josh
it.
ain't gonna give up. you know Josh Herron's not gonna give up. That's what we love about him more than anything. He's gonna come back and take a spot.
Loves that fight.
I'm the same. I love it. I think it's great that he fights all the way. And I'm gonna look at his splits now to see, because if he can even get within a chance on the last lap anywhere, he's going to take a shot at Tony. And Tony right now is just running for himself, just trying to get, he knows, okay, Josh probably is a little bit further behind me now because he ran off out in the dirt. So now Tony's going to do his best to just run away.
See if he takes a look over his shoulder, which Tony has a tendency to do occasionally anyway. We can catch a glimpse of it, then Tony knows. Down to the carousel.
3/10 in that first split. Herron's already made back up.
Okay.
So he's closed that up. That's what we'll watch. We'll be able to watch those splits.
Hey, take a look at this guy.
Who's this guy?
This guy has lost 1.5 seconds in the last 3 laps to Tony Elias.
Yeah. Well,
but there's a lap and a half to go, and Cam Beaubier's in total management mode at this point.
Yeah, just simple. Love
Doing it in front of the home fans from Roseville, right up the street. In Sonoma, one of 2 claimed home tracks here in California is Cameron Beaubier. He wears the number 6 because he gave away his number 1 plate to Tony Elias last year, and he is doing everything he can to get that back. Jake Zemke over there on the left side is no stranger. His crew, Rick Hobbs, looking on, his crew chief, as we go back to the battle for 5th spot.
Yep, good battle here between Matthew and Jake. Tony Elias, just so you know, he ran his fastest second split of the race, so he is running. And these 2 guys are going to go all the way to the line as Matthew and Jake. Where's Jake going to make the pass? That's the big question. Where is he? He's got 1 lap. All the knowledge that he's got following Matthew Schultz for as many laps as he has. And keep in mind, both these guys have been on the list as well for that Yosh ride. So there's a lot of things that these 2 guys are fighting for right now. Not just position on the track, but they're also maybe looking at the future.
And you can bet that Don Sakamoto's got his eye glued to the television, looking at what's going on right now and looking at the future.
Yep.
Cameron Beaubier out front. Tony Elias, Josh Herron, Garrett Gerloff by himself. Got to break free of this battle. You can see Gerloff up the road. Jake Lewis just lost a little there. I think at this point with the gap chase, he's got 1 shot at it. And I think it might be turn 11, that last corner.
Yep.
If the M4X Star Suzuki rider can hold that Yamalu Westby Racing rider close, he could do it. But this rider, Cameron Beaubier, an absolute clinic. For a moment at the beginning of this race, it looked like Josh Herron might lead into turn number 2. Cam Beaubier was able to fight him off and then started to eke away by turn 4 on the first lap. He's managed this race pace, managed the race lead the entire distance. As he goes into the final corner, it is Cameronville as Cameron Beaubier will come across the line and take his 4th win in Sonoma in a row. 2nd win of the weekend, and he'll do it by 6.5 seconds as Tony Elias able to hold off Josh Herron as Herron comes across the line a little deeper back, 4.4 seconds.
Yep, lost
Here,
some time
Gerloff.
last lap.
Oh, there we go.
Matthew Schultz was able to get Jake, keep him behind him all the way to the finish there. So Jake Lewis is going to come across in 6. We're looking for Raj now. Raj will be the next guy coming across the line. You see Cameron up in turn 2. Here comes Roger.
Roger Hayden makes it home safely in 7th place. Well, shaking the hands there. Might have a little bit of arm pump. You can see on Instagram too that Roger before race weekends he gets a little acupuncture in that right forearm.
Yeah.
Suffering from some forearm pump. Of course, Roger, 20 years as a professional racer, suffered from some minor injuries, over the course of his career. Shoulder, wrist, forearms. Sometimes that's what racing does. All right, so most of the racers coming in. As Cameron Beaubier takes a look over his shoulder and sees Tony Elias. Tony with a congratulations. Thanks for spanking me.
Yeah. Now Tony's got to figure out a way to make up a big points gap over the next 6 point-paying races, 3 rounds left. So
yeah, because the lead's going to extend, Jay, to probably, let's see, it was going to be 63, I think.
63 points.
63 points, there it is.
Almost a full, 2-race lead now. So
and Tony's going to go back to and look. When we look at fastest laps of the race,
yep,
Cameron Beaubier did a 1:35.1, so just 1/10 slower than yesterday. But Tony Elias did a 1:36.4, so even though Tony finished in second spot, he was still his fastest lap 1.3 seconds slower than Cam. Josh Herron was able to do a 36.1, that's 1 second, but in a lot of 36s on the board. I mean, it shows you how competitive this Motul Superbike class is, you know, when they're close.
Yeah, especially normally, but this
Yeah.
weekend it just wasn't. Just Cameron just did what he needed to do, and 2 years straight now where he's been the fastest in every session, qualifying, pole, super pole. Yeah, I mean, just everything. He's been hard to beat here.
So impressed with what Josh Herron's able to do on this motorcycle. A lot of people didn't know what to expect when he was announced that he was going to attack performance and what was the budget and getting to the racetrack. And of course, we show up to the first round. The motorcycle's not there. What do we do? The scramble. So many people helped him get to where he was. And now Josh Herron's extending his lead. Third in the points in this Motul Superbike Championship, ahead of factory racer Garrett Gerloff in the mix, ahead of race winner Matthew Skultz.
It's pretty cool to see Cameron pick up a Nicky Hayden flag. Of course, you know, with it's great to see Nicky is just so on the minds of everybody still. I mean, all over the world. I mean, you continue to see tributes to Nicky all over the world, and pretty cool to see Cameron take that flag.
Absolutely. So Cameron Beaubier will celebrate with the Nicky Hayden flags that fly all around Sonoma Raceway here in Sonoma, California. As Victory Lane starts to fill with motorcycles and people, Tony Elias already there, as is Josh Herron. So Yamaha will have 2 on the box, Suzuki will have 1. What a race between those two, and I tell you, Tony loves a fighter. He loves to race against a fighter.
Yeah, both those guys battle. I like watching both these guys, right, because they never give up. And yeah, it's good to see the camaraderie between the two of them. There's Cameron. He's going to come back down pit lane with that flag.
Crowd starts to go crazy as they hear Cameron heading back towards them. And a nice wheel in the air for Cam Beaubier.
That's the most we got to see him. Just sitting here watching a little bit of replays here. Got to see Cameron just dominant performance here at Sonoma. And we've just seen him get on these rolls before, haven't we, Greg, where it's just, he just puts 5, 6, 7 wins together.
Welcome back to Sonoma Raceway as we await the chit-chat that we're going to get from Hannah. So let's head it down to her. She's with Josh Herron.
Josh, this track is super, super hard to pass at. You were making a couple moves on Tony, but you made a mistake with 3 laps to go. Tell us about what happened.
Yeah, just I didn't know if I was going to be able to have the pace to pass him at the end because he had a little gap on me until we hit some lap traffic. They didn't get out of the way, and I was able to catch him that half second that I'd lost. So I knew going in that chicane was going to be my best shot at getting him. So I tried for it, and it just didn't work. You know, I just wanted to give it my all. I didn't want to come in third today and say I didn't try. So Cameron's riding super good. You know, it's real impressive. So we gotta go back and do some homework for sure and try and get him at Pittsburgh. It's going to be hard because we haven't rode there. Last year I sat out. So looking forward to riding a new track and hopefully trying to bridge that gap and be up there with him. Like I said, he's riding super good. Congrats to him. Congrats to Tony on second place. And we'll go back to the shop and work real hard, and I'll go train, and hopefully we have a better run at Pittsburgh.
Thanks, Josh.
All right, so Josh Herron, Jason, always with a smile on his face.
Yeah, forgot that he didn't get to ride Pittsburgh last year, so that'll be a fun new track for him to learn. It'll be a track that their aggression's definitely key there, and it won't take him long. He'll have that place sorted out in 30 or 40 minutes, no problem after that first session, and they'll go to work and get that bike even better.
A lot of work for that team to kind of get back and stack up that trailer for the East Coast swing. All right, let's get back down to Hannah.
I've got our second place finisher, Tony Elias. Tony, quite a battle you had with Josh there, but he made a little bit of a mistake at the end, and you were able to put your head down and pull away. Tell us about what happened.
Well, today also another difficult race for us. but I'm happy. Second position is really good for what we have right now. We cannot expect anything better. Of course, we want be first position, but right now is tough. Cameron is riding amazing, really strong. They are doing an incredible job. We are working so hard trying to improve. Today the bike was much better than yesterday. Thanks to my team for this big effort. We will continue. We don't have another option, so today happy with this result. Let's go home, let's sing, let's prepare things. Let's try to be more ready for Pittsburgh, and thanks everybody to come, family, friends, and especially my team, because they are support me a lot.
Looking ahead to Pittsburgh, you know, you got a lot of points to make up to stay in contention for this championship. Do you feel an added sense of pressure, or how do you go back and regroup and continue to move forward from here?
I think we honestly we have to forget Cameron right now. The most important thing is be focused in us, in our problems, little problems, because are not big problems. Right now, the only thing we can is fight for the second position, but still a lot of points to play. First thing, think, work, improve, and maybe then create the situation to come back. But right now is difficult.
Thanks, Tony. We'll see you in a couple weeks.
So he said he had to forget Cameron, Jason. I mean, really.
Well, yeah.
I mean, obviously they're focused on the program, and I understand what he's trying to say there. But you know, we go race week off, race week off, race. You know, to the end of the season. So there's not a lot of time to get a lot of work done.
No, but they're going to go try to get that bike a little bit better for him, and some of the things that he's looking for. At this point, the point lead's so big that they're probably going to throw some things at it and go to Pittsburgh. He's as positive as he can be.
All right, let's get down to Hannah with our race winner, Cameron Beaubier.
I think this is 6 wins in a row for the number 6, 4 here at Sonoma. You're on a roll right now. You won by quite a margin again today. You got to be a pretty happy guy right about now.
Yeah, I'm so happy, man. I don't know what it is about this place. My bike, I feel like my bike, my style works so good at this track. I don't know what it is, if it's right in front of my hometown or my family and friends or what. But yeah, I'm just kind of speechless, really. It feels really good. We were able to increase our points lead, which was the most important thing. Get out of here with 2 wins. We came into this weekend pretty confident, thinking that we can get it done, and we did. So hats off to my Monster Energy, Yamalube, Yamaha team, Yamaha Extended Service, Bell, Alpine Stars for keeping me safe, the man above, and I just really enjoyed myself this weekend. So going to Pittsburgh, going back to the East in a couple weeks, and finish out the season strong.
Thanks, Cam. Sounds like he's going to have to bring his family to Pittsburgh with him to keep this streak going. What do you guys think?
Bring everybody with him, man. I mean, yeah, winning is fun. That's why Cameron says I had a good time this weekend. Yeah, I bet you did. It's fun to win races by that much and just show that kind of consistency and dominance. So congratulations to Cam. Really leaving here with a stranglehold on this championship, Greg.
Yeah, plus all the other things that go along with it, Jason, like led every session, broke the track record overall, broke the racetrack record. I mean, it's just an incredible weekend for Cameron Beaubier, finishing off with a win, and of course that Nicky Hayden flag. Here's a look at those results. So Beaubier will look at it and say, all right, 6.5 seconds. Obviously, he could have done more damage if he wanted to. Herron in 3rd spot. Garrett Gerloff only 15 seconds behind, so Gerloff will be looking at that. Schultz, Jake Lewis, a good battle there. Roger was all by himself, and then there was that awesome battle between Danny Eslick, who ended up getting Kyle Wyman at the end of this one. And then on Jason Uribe, a top 10 finish on his Genuine Roastered Chicken. Jeff May, Max Flinders, San Puerto Rico, Bruno Silva, David Anthony, and of course, Phyllis and Cam Peterson. All right, we'll take another break here on beIN Sports, but you want to stick with us because our post-Motul Superbike race continues. Our post-race coverage continues here at the Cycle Gear Championship of Sonoma as the podium celebrations are going to begin here in just a moment. Let's take a look at the move of the race, Jason Pridmore.
Here you go. These two guys were fighting, locked in head-to-head all weekend, and Josh Herron tried to go up underneath Tony, but Tony was able to cut it back up underneath him. That was the last chance. And then you see Josh come down into turn 9. Same thing. Tries to get in there and get it turned, but can't quite keep it on track. Greg goes across the dirt, and that was really the battle for second done at that point. It was too hard for Josh to try to make that time back up. Tony put in some fast splits with 2 laps to go, just enough to keep Josh at bay.
Championship point standing shows 63 points now between Cameron Beaubier and Tony Elias. And that battle for third spot just got a lot larger as Josh Herron took over that position over Matthew Stoltz. Gerloff with 141. Jake Lewis, Kyle Wyman, Danny Eslick. They're all in that big mix as Roger Hayden in 9th spot. Never thought we'd see Raj that far down the list, but it's been a bit of a rough year for
he can
Raj.
still jump up to 7th by the next round pretty easily, too. These guys having a little glass of wine as Sonoma style.
That's the way they do it. They got to drink it. There they go. All right, we're going to take a break as our post-race coverage continues here on beIN Sports. So don't go anywhere. Yeah, don't dump that on Cameron's head.
Get that.
Nobody wants wine-stained Dunlop hat. Stay with us. MotoAmerica is presented by Dunlop. Dunlop motorcycle tires bring you the latest technology both on the track and the street. And powered by Kawasaki. Let the good times roll. Welcome back to the Cycle Gear Championship of Sonoma, where race action has wrapped up pretty much the Motul Superbike class. And of course, this is round 7 of 10. We have a couple more coming at you. Well, you know, our very own Hannah Lopa had a chance to hang out with a young man named Jack Roach. They got to hang out for a little while, and well, all right, don't let me explain it to you. Just check this out. This is awesome.
Hey guys, Hannah Lopa here, and I am with Liqui Moly Junior Cup rider Jack Roach, and we are about to check out some fun carnival games. Let's see. First shot. Do you like an alien? No, not always. Yeah! Yay! God, I just care about my pride and my ego. So I'm gonna win. I'm gonna win! Is it a tie? Anna. No, Jack won it. Aw, thank you. You know you have a microphone on. Can I have Oreo, please?